Hi, this is the School of Bass. My name is Saurabh Suman, and today at the Island City Studios, we are with the amazing Mohini Dey. Thank you so much, Mohini,
Thank you
for
for
coming.
having me.
It's really exciting for us, and I'm really excited to have a long chit chat with you, have a conversation about music, about how you play, how you practice, and how it feels right now to be where you are at in your musical career.
It is very overwhelming. I feel very blessed, and I think all the hard work has paid off, and I still continue to do as much hard work as I used to do before, and I look forward to more and more fun times.
That's exciting. So when you're saying hard work,
Yeah.
like what happens is that straight away talking about hard work from my experience is that there would be times when I would be as a musician forcing myself to do stuff that I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
For example, at the time I started studying jazz, it just wasn't something I was inclined towards. Like right now when I hear it, I'm
Yeah.
mesmerized by it, I'm amazed.
Right.
And it used to feel like hard work and I would impose it on myself in a way that man, I must do this to become better, etc. So is it when you say hard work, do you talk about things in a way, because the amount you put into it right now, the practice and all that,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know that how you keep yourself motivated to keep going every day. Do you make your practice sessions interesting for yourself?
Oh yeah, absolutely. As a kid growing up, I used to always think and believe that anything that is consuming way too much time, I will not do it. I will always want to infuse it with something that saves time.
Mm,
So I don't kind of understand these exercises which only provide you and serve you on one subject.
right.
So I want things which are interesting and fun at the same time also serve me in many more subjects.
Right.
So I used to look at a lot of videos, of course, and my dad used to play me all these DVDs of Jaco Pastorius, lessons, and Victor Wooten lessons, and a lot of drummer, practice videos as well. And I used to see how they would approach towards
Mm,
music and how they deal with it, and how they how they sync together with it. It's very important in music to understand how you can actually talk through your music, because
mm,
it's not easy to get that. I was struggling a lot to sync my mind with my playing, which
right.
is my instrument, my voice, right? So I was thinking something in my head and it would come a little later. I would
Mm.
have to figure it out on the
Or
fretboard.
just play something else
Yeah,
instead of what was playing
exactly, or
inside. Yeah.
vice versa,
Yeah.
the other way around. But I needed to figure out which would be happening. These two processes would be happening at the same time. So I trained myself. I would watch a lot of videos on YouTube. Obviously, the internet came, and then it was like a big world, and then you go all the education. I think internet is such a big education now, and everything you can find on internet. So I just went online and I started training myself how to read and write. And I had Trinity books also in my
Okay.
house. My dad used to get it for me, and I learned how to read and write. And then I looked at all these videos and learned techniques and modes and how to apply if you want to solo over changes, what's the
Right.
ways and
Mm.
all that. Obviously, it comes with a lot of if you hang more with different kinds of musicians, you collect all the good parts and their styles and
Yeah.
infuse it with yours, because
Yeah.
you have to have your own voice also, no matter what.
It kind of spills over from them, you know. It just
Exactly.
kind of.
You have to kind of try to transform or
Mm.
take those little things and mix it with your end,
So are you conscious about it? Let's say I'm aware that there were these weeks when you would just go to Ranjit and just play with him like thrice a week,
Right, right. He
twice a
used to
week.
tell me, yes.
And is it like you were conscious that when I'm playing with somebody as great as him,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna take this concept home and I'm gonna work on it?
Oh, absolutely! I was so fascinated by percussive instruments because when you're at home and practicing by yourself, it's another thing. You only are aware of what is going on with yourself. But then when you start hearing other people playing along with you, then it's like two different worlds.
Right.
You're actually having a conversation with that person, so you have to listen and answer back accordingly, complementing that. So when I started playing with Ranjit Uncle, it was like heaven, I was enjoying a lot, but then I was stuck as well because I never played with a drummer before
And he
Ranjit uncle.
pushes a
And
lot.
yeah, and that was the first drummer I played with, so it's too much,
Oh.
for me. I was just 11 or 12.
Mm.
For an 11-year-old to play like a beast with him, it was like too much to start with,
Yeah.
So I pushed myself. I was like, no, I have to work harder because I'm not enough. But uncle was really supportive enough.
Yeah, he's
And
very embracing. He's
very
just, yeah.
embracing, very mentor-like, very not only in terms of my musical growth but personal growth as well. He used to tell me how he grew up and how he had fun times
Lots
in
of
my
life
age,
lessons.
and he was telling me that I was running around in my chaddis when I was your age. I'm like, no, even I think a lot of kids do that, but you're an inspiration right now. So when I started playing with him, he was like the one person who was introducing me to the industry.
Yeah.
And slowly I started playing with him in clubs. So I learned a lot while just playing with him. It was not like, okay, he's sitting me and he's giving me lessons and all that. It was not like
So
that.
as just being around good musicians.
Just hanging out with good musicians, and he would try and bring in a lot of foreign musicians,
Yeah.
like guitar players, or he would bring in a lot of these percussionists like Sridhar, and obviously I did a gig with Zakirji at the age of 13. So when you're exposed to those kind of big personalities with very bold what do you say, musical approach,
Right.
it's amazing. For me it was just outstanding because I wanted to sound like that when I heard them. So I would try and build exercises and I would try and sound like them. So I build up exercises and techniques, keeping how I can sound like that in my mind.
So like, let's say you had a jam on one day of the week, and then the next time you're gonna go, you'll be like, okay,
Actually,
he played
the same night.
It
would be the same night when I come back after the rehearsal. I would be like, how did he do that? I would record everything on my phone, or I would try and ask him, okay, how did you come up with this? Okay, explain to me, what is the polyrhythmic calculation, mathematics that you're using behind this? How are you approaching it, and how do you do this? So I will ask, and I'll just converse with the guy, whoever is playing with me, and he would tell me, okay, this is what I'm doing. So it would give me amazing ideas because I was good at maths, and I was like, okay, this is very fun. So I would go back home and try and do the same thing. First, try and learn the same thing so that I can play it and say it. That's how my konakol became very good, actually, playing with all these mridangam players.
So
and kanjira.
formally you didn't sit and study konakol. It
never.
was like they told you phrases and
doing all these
compositions and-
fusion concerts, and very fortunate enough to have stepped on to very different kinds of setups, I would say, because I always wanted to be a versatile musician and not restrict myself to just one side, So yeah, I think that whole journey was very, very important. It was a good foundation for me.
So see, there are some people like, for example, you had access and your doors open to people like Ranjit, to Zakirji and many others. But yes, there are many bass players who are right now just working on their technique or whatever it is. But I definitely know that playing with other people is a great way.
Yeah.
So how about like what would you suggest as to if people don't right away have access to let's say the grades?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly. As a kid growing up, when I was playing bass, I'm obviously a girl, a young girl playing, and I was good at it. I was not just average. I could play some things which not a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old could play. And my approach towards music, I already had a voice back then.
Yeah.
So I think Ranjit uncle noticed that, and he saw that fire in my eyes, and he saw that, he realized that if I would spend little more time with her, she's going to be something, you know. So same way, but I also did my hard work at the same time, which is not stopping my practice at home after coming back from rehearsal. Not just learning songs. That's not practice. That's just learning songs, and in a way it is a practice, but then you have to come back and work on yourself also, which is trying to figure out how to work out possibilities, you know, and how can you sound different every time and not sound monotonous.
Yes, that's one amazing thing I noticed about you, which is coming up with these new sounds almost, because whenever I see you solo at whichever gig,
Yeah.
you have some little thing added, like just like a slide from the, and in fact sometimes when I'm playing, I'm actually, okay, I saw Mohini do that or do this,
Yeah.
so I can do that too.
It's
And
because I have so
how-
much stock inside me.
how
you
do
know?
you do you sit, explore, and come up with all that?
All these years from the age of 9 till now,
Hmm.
whatever I have learned, it all just is like, it's like a basket, okay, in
Yeah.
my head, and everything is packed into that.
Right.
And every time when I'm playing a song, I'm like, okay, this is gonna sound nice. It just naturally comes. I don't have to think. There was a time when I was thinking and playing.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is gonna sound nice. This is gonna sound nice. But maybe this will also sound nice. But then now I know what's gonna sound nice
Yeah.
when I am playing along with
Now
it.
it's just translated from your head.
It's very natural for me
So
now.
coming back to that question where, I'm still something that
Yeah, for
people
bass players out
don't
there,
have
you know.
access to.
So so yeah, continuing to that point, I was also making videos and putting it out online
Right.
for
and
the
that was mostly with recordings. It wasn't
just
with the-
myself,
yeah,
just myself,
just
just
yourself,
playing
to a loop.
Yeah, playing to
Yeah.
a loop, or like just practicing and putting it out there.
Hmm.
Not because I wanted attention or anything like that, but I just wanted people to know that I am playing.
Yeah,
you know,
I have a
am there.
minimum standard achieved.
Yeah.
And then
That
it's
time
easier.
I had nothing. I was just playing with Uncle.
Yeah.
You know, I was just 12 that time, but
Yeah.
I was already putting videos out there.
Right.
There were people coming to gigs and checking me out.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
like Uncle Louie Banks would come and check me out. So it
Right.
was big thing for me, you know.
Right.
Okay, now I have to give my best because it's going to open me another door.
So I was asking that how do you feel when somebody you look up to shows up in the audience? Like Uncle Louie is so special.
Yeah.
Again, like somebody you've seen who's elder to you, you've heard their music. Does anything change in your system while you're playing?
That time I was very young, so obviously I would get a little nervous having such a big personality in the audience. It's like, whoo, butterflies. I have to give my best, you know. When I'm on stage, I'm not thinking about anything. All I'm thinking about, how can I make the song sound beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's all is in my head when I'm playing. But after the show is done, I'm like, okay, this is good. But I was never satisfied. I was never ever satisfied. I still am never satisfied when I'm doing gigs after the shows. I'm like, I could have done that. I could have done this. I could have done this.
Yeah,
know?
I mean, like new ideas. That's why you're always evolving. I feel.
Yeah,
that
I think so. Yeah.
So in this, I know you're flying around. The Guthrie tour is coming up, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much happening. Then you're going to do a tour with Steve also recently, or
I am playing on his next album again.
Next
I
album.
worked on his earlier album already, the old one, the Passion and Warfare,
right?
Primitive. I played the first song on the album called Bop.
Right.
It was a very Zappa-like treatment. I think it was like a tribute to him or something. When I heard it, I was like, wow, this is insane. And he was so sweet. And like I said, you know, coming back to that point where you said, how do local bass players, when they come, beginner bass players, when they come here, how do they get work and all that? You have to be out there. You have to keep people informed of what you're doing, you know.
Document yourself, put yourself out there, and then when you knock at anybody's
social
door,
media is the biggest go-to in today's world. That can get you so many different opportunities.
what are your social media preferences? Because it's kind of becoming this clutter of so many apps, so many other things. Is there something that you prefer to be at?
Not really. See, what matters at the end of the day is your talent. If you're good enough, people will notice you no matter what. If you put it on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or anywhere, people will revolve it. People will spread it. You know, videos which are even bullshit, they get viral, you know. So I think about it sometimes, when things like this can get attention, then imagine if you're really good, how much attention can it get?
Yeah.
So as a young kid growing up, I never kept that at the back of my mind. I was just putting out videos for the sake of it, because I like I said, I love getting ready. When we were talking before the interview started, I love getting ready. So I would dress up, I would put makeup on, and I would play my bass, and it was a beautiful process, you know.
So where did that inspiration come from to get into fashion? And
Before becoming a musician, I wanted to become a fashion designer. After my 12th board exams, I applied for a fashion college, and I got selected also, but then AR's thing came that time, my opportunity to work with
So
him.
this is right after the day you have. There was this day you had your exam, and
This
you were supposed to come. Oh,
this
that's.
was in between the process of me preparing for my board exams. In 12th on the when I was in 12th standard, which is, I don't know, junior college or something, in Bombay you call that. And I didn't give my 11th exam. That whole year I was just doing nothing because the headmistress said that you can't apply your exams because 75% attendance compulsion. And I was traveling. I can't do that. So I avoided. I was like, I'm not going to study anymore. Then after some time, my dad said, why don't you just complete 12th? So I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And I had that little time between. I thought I could do it, but then it was very, very hard. I was literally on my board exams. I was flying to Chennai, doing recordings with AR in his AM studios till 4 a.m. with my mom on the side. I used to travel with my mom that time. She would sleep on the couch, me and AR recording, and then take a flight, go to the center directly to give my exams. So AR was like, could you stay? We have one more song. I'm
then
like,
they book
exams.
your flight back.
Yeah,
Right?
then they booked my flight back. I came back again, did the second song. So that was my, childhood. I was working and studying at the same time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but I wanted to become a fashion designer, even at that point. But me getting so much work, I joined AR's band. I started doing recording sessions first, but then when I joined AR's old band, I was like, okay, no, this has a lot of traveling with it connected. So I cannot, and fashion is something you have to practically, like, physically be there, and a lot of practical work. You have to be there and see and learn and all that. So I just knew in my head I can't do it, but I said to myself, okay, do this which you're good at right now, because this is getting you somewhere. I had a feeling that this was going to get me somewhere, and it would get me places, and it would open a lot of other doors. And it did, actually. After working with AR, I started working with Prasanna. I'm doing a tour with Prasanna in December.
In the States or in India?
In India, actually. In India. So it's amazing. And then I started working with Simone. I've worked with him for 3 years. Then Stephen Devesi. I think with Stephen I was already working before. So it opened me a lot of doors. And then Quincy Jones thing. And then Steve Vai happened. And then Tony McAlpine, Dave Becker, Stuart Ham. And everything just happened. No, not Herbie. Not Herbie.
Oh, you met him at Berkeley?
I met him.
Yeah,
So AR took me to his book launch, and AR bought me a book at the library. So he took me there. He was like, come with me. We were free that day. So he was, Clint was there, the director of Berkeley, Valadares, and we went there. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is such a beautiful book. I just said that, and AR just bought me that book, and he gave me.
That's amazing.
So it's beautiful. The journey has been very, very nice. He's like a family now.
Okay, so you were mentioning this fashion channel that you're about to start on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
So, just tell a little more about that.
Well, I've been noticing lately that whatever pictures I put on Instagram, it just hits like crazy amount of numbers, and it, like, in a minute it'll go like 200 comments and all that. So I was like, okay, people are really out there and watching out for me. Why don't I start a channel? Because I love it so much anyway. So why don't I start a channel and do like a get ready with me before every show? Because people have been DMing me and messaging me on Messenger saying that, I want to know how you do your makeup. I want to know how you dress and all that. How do you come up with different looks, It's because I love it so much. That's why before the show only, or if the tour starts, I know what I'm going to wear. And I make stuff from my own hands. I stitch clothes if I don't have anything in particular that I'm going for in my head.
Wow.
I stitch the night before and I wear it.
And you just mentioned before we started this that you have a sewing machine, and you...
Yeah, I do. I have a lot of waste mum's saris, and I have a lot of clothes that I don't wear or don't fit me anymore. So I just cut them and chop them off and make something out of it. Yeah, that's what I do. Sleepless nights, like when I'm very, very tired, that's what I would be doing. Like it gives me so much pleasure.
It's kind of rejuvenating.
Yeah,
a break from music.
So amazing. It's like some people love traveling. I love stitching. I don't like traveling.
But you get to travel all the time.
Yeah, but that's work, no. Yeah.
That's what you signed up for. Um, Also wanted to ask you, that there are sometimes, like in my experience, I found it uh, hard to come, not hard, but like I realized there's a point where you fall in love with music,
Mm-hmm.
and the moment that happens, because there's this time when you are in love with music, then education happens,
Absolutely.
then you kind of get thrown off for some time, and then you do your exercises, this and that, I mean, I got lost somewhere
Yeah,
in
I
all
would
that.
cry in my studio, the place where I stay now. I'm so connected to it because my whole musical learning and upbringing has been there in that
Hmm.
small studio. I just was thinking today, actually, when I woke up, I was like, wow, this place has so many memories attached to it,
Hmm.
and all the times that I would be broken and devastated, I'm like, I can't do this, I would just give up,
Yeah.
But then something in me said, no, you can do it. You can, because if you put good amount of hard work, and it's not about the number of hours you put in, okay? It's just
Yeah.
uh, what do you say? Like, your outlook very much matters. If you look at it the better way and approach it the better way, then it's going to happen
You
no
mean the
matter what.
perspective needs to be correct?
Yeah. More than that, I think it's like, how do I explain? It's very hard, but there's this willpower inside you,
Yeah.
like I believe I have a very, very strong
Hmm.
willpower that I can take so much but still go on. I think I have the power and ability to just keep going on and on, no matter how many times I fall. It's
Yeah, I
just,
mean, I was just, that's really amazing because sometimes people don't know how to deal with failure, and they
yeah.
feel that if they fail once,
Trust me,
it's
we
over.
all deal with it.
Yeah,
We all
so
deal with it.
that's
Yeah.
that's amazing
It's
to know.
not like, okay, I was in that show and now somebody else is
He
playing.
saw
Oh
me
my God,
play,
that is not a failure.
and like
No.
you play a gig and you play a couple of bum notes, and you think, oh, that guy
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
there,
That is
and it's
also not a failure. Yeah, it's just a feeling which we have named and tagged as failure.
yeah,
But for me, failure, you know what it is? It's like this depression. No matter we musicians, because we're traveling so much, we also, people think it's so sparkly and glittery all the time,
yeah,
but it's not actually. At the end of the day, we also get very, very lonely. At
yeah.
the end of the day, even people who are in relationships, they also get to this one corner where they're very lonely and very like empty, and there's no sound, and it's just like flat.
Hmm.
We get to that point because I don't know why that happens. Maybe we work so much that we exhaust ourselves completely, and we get to that point where it's like so depressed and stuff. Then you need somebody to kind of tell you that no, everything is going to be all
Yeah.
right. So yeah.
So I was trying to ask that, like what I experienced in my musical journey is that I was in love with music, so I decided to study music.
Hmm.
Then I went into studying music. Then that love part got some sort of uh, it got shifted to study.
Okay.
That okay,
It's very scripted, right?
this
So
instrument works like this. If I do this over this chord, it's
yeah,
going
a
to
lot
sound
of
good.
rules and
Then I got lost in the rules, and then the love happened again.
Hmm.
Then I put the rules aside,
Yes.
and now it's different. Like
Hmm.
now when I practice, it's productive. It's
Yeah.
not. It doesn't feel like hard work, etc.
Right.
Did you face that issue ever that you or were you in love with music from the beginning?
I was not in love with music at first.
Okay.
I was only 3 when I started learning the
Mhm.
bass. My first exercise was daddy, mommy,
Yeah,
daddy,
yeah.
mommy. These two exercises, and then I think I seriously started taking lessons when I was 7ish. But that was something that my dad made me do,
Mm.
because he thought that I was very good at time.
That's when you got your Fender Jazz
Yes,
bass. Yeah.
yes, that was his bass actually.
bass, yeah.
Yeah.
Is
it still there?
It's still there. It's
And
still there.
that bass that he made, it's still there?
No, that is not there. That is not there.
That
We
did he
had
make
to
a
sell it
small-
off.
Small bass, or if you were 3 or 4, did he make a
For
small
my
bass?
delivery, we had to kind of give that away. Like, no, my
Oh.
sister's delivery.
Oh, okay.
My sister's delivery, we had to give that away. We were not financially that strong
Yeah.
that time, but then when my dad always tells me that I brought a lot of wealth to the family. I'm
That's
like a
amazing.
Saraswati in the house, but he still works, he still travels,
Yeah,
and
I
like
see him
being a
very
bass
often.
player and having like so many like so much success at this point. Mumbai is very hard to survive. It's very expensive, and coming out from Calcutta, place like Calcutta, and getting married to mom and coming here and
Yeah.
making it big in the music industry, it's very hard actually.
Right. So that base that he built for you when you were little, is that base still around? It's not around. It's like,
I don't know. I've never
And-
asked about it again.
and I was wondering, was it made the normal way, like a full size base?
No, it was very small.
Very
It
small.
was very, very small. So he took out his pickup from his old base
Okay.
and he put it in the, he cut pieces of wood with this other guy called Sunil. So Sunil used to be, Sunil Shinde, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he used to be my daddy's friend from that time, and they're
The
still
luthier
friends.
who's now
so
doing
when
jobs for
there is a
everybody in the
picture
industry.
of Sunil holding me like that, I was this
Okay.
much, just sleeping on his lap
Wow.
in his workshop in his
In-
society, old place.
That was Malad, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Before that also he had one place
Okay.
closer to my dad. So they were very good buddies and they would work together and all that. Crazy stories. So, and then they cut pieces of wood and they made a small base for me. And I used to practice on that. And then around 6 or 7, when I turned 6 or 7, he gave me his Fender Jazz and asked me to play on that. I started with a 4-string. And then after that, I got an Ibanez SDGR.
This,
He got it for me from Dubai.
okay.
This is the sound gear model.
Yeah. This is the 4-string you used or 5?
This is the 5. This is the
Okay.
5. That's when I got introduced to 5, and I was like, ooh, octaves, now more space
and
to
you
run.
slap on the low B.
Yes. It's beautiful. So I was
really
like, okay, now different sound and more possibilities
Yeah.
and, more fun.
So what's your first love? Is it 4-string or the 5-string?
First love was 4-string.
Okay.
But then I don't know if it was love. it was like getting to
This
know
is
the
what you
instrument.
have. This
Yeah,
is
this is
you
what I
have.
have. No,
These
default
are all the
option.
notes.
Yeah.
You don't have 24 frets and
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Just play with what you
I
have.
think around that time, I used to always go to these shows where Carl Uncle would play, and I would see him play the 5. So I was like, how is it to play on a 5-string bass?
What year would this be? if
No
you would-
idea. I was very young.
Do you remember his bass that time?
Yeah. His Warwick bass, actually.
Still that.
It's still
You know, I went to Sunil Shinde's workshop at some point, like I think last year, last year, and he was rebuilding a neck, and he was supposed to replicate a
on
neck.
that body, right?
On that neck, like that
Yeah,
neck. I think
because
it must have been that.
Carl Uncle gave me that bass on the first album that I played on, which was Ranjit Uncle's Bada Boom.
Oh,
So he got really happy, and that night he gave me that bass.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing.
Yeah.
So he like literally he rebuilt a neck
Hmm.
with his own hands, and he showed me both the necks that day when I went to him. I had to
Yeah.
just get something fixed, and it was really, really amazing how he had replicated the whole thing.
Yeah, he knows exactly what he wants. And what I fell in love with the most in him is his tone, his sound. Approach to theek hai,
Carl's
but then
sound, yeah.
his sound is like
It's-
so Jacko-like,
It's Jacko school.
It's very
His
Jacko-like.
His attack and everything.
Yeah, and his way of phrasing things is very unique,
It's very
It's
unique.
very Jacko-like, actually.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of Jacko, so I know where it's coming from.
So talking about phrasing, there's this thing about you was talking about saying a story through music.
Yes.
Did you sit sometimes to chart a story out as a template? Like, for example,
Absolutely. When I didn't know how to solo and all that. So
Yeah.
because at first you're always scared of soloing,
Yeah.
I was very, very scared of soloing. Every time Uncle would be like, okay. No, I'm like, holy shit, no. If you see on the Zakir G video, it's on YouTube.
were you playing Teen Town before? Or?
I was kind of trying to replicate it and mix everything
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
have
Yeah.
in my head, kind of trying to make it. I was playing the groove from the chicken.
The chicken, yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
but on an E flat.
Oh,
Yeah. So I remember the scale very well because it was supposed to be in E, and then we're like tabla tuning, so E flat. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. Then I'm starting with my own solo and all that, and then comes the Jugalbandi part,
Yeah.
which I've never been a part of, had never been a part of at that time. So when Zakirji looked at me, I was like,
I'm not going to answer to what you're telling me.
I'm not. And I literally didn't. There were so many people
Could
out
you
there.
please talk to him?
Oh my
and not
god.
me?
There was Tawfiq Qureshi ji,
Hmm.
and then there was Niladri,
Hmm.
and then there was Ranjit uncle, Fazal Qureshi. So many people out there, and I'm on the corner. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
coming to me, okay, Zakir ji. It's just like coming. It's there. I'm like, it's okay. I see it coming. I see it coming.
And
No.
the heart is pumping. It's like,
Yeah. And he's like, okay, cool. Then he passed it on. So I didn't play.
oh.
And I came back and after the show got over, I was crying. Zakir ji comes and he hugs me and he's like, baby, you did very, very good. You're
Huh.
amazing. You'll go very far. And he's like, I'm eating, okay? And he's there.
Hmm.
He's putting his hand on my head and he's
Yeah.
blessing me and he's telling me, you're amazing out there. You were amazing out there. You will just keep working hard and you'll be amazing. And then after that, I again played with him. Where did I play? I think a year ago. With at his Barsi, I think.
Okay.
Where I was playing with Ranjit uncle, Osam, Esseldine, and who else was there? Oh, yeah, Mark Guillermo, the guitar player.
Okay.
So we
Oh,
were
yeah.
playing there, and that was the second time he saw me after those many years. I think I was 21, 20.
Okay.
After so many years, at the age of 13, I played with him, and then after so many years, he saw me play with Ranjit uncle again, and he was on the side just looking at me, and I was under pressure. That day I felt lot of pressure. I was playing, but I was not soloing or anything.
Hmm.
And then he looked at me and was like, Kuch
Go
boli,
ahead.
now make a story. Show me your story.
Then you said something.
Yeah, then Ranjit was like, because everybody else was soloing, I was just like grooving out there because we didn't have time.
Yeah.
So we were just about to finish it. Zakirji was like, no, you play. And then he made me play and then I played. It was amazing, and he came and he hugged me and was like, I see you growing up so well. We're playing with so many great musicians. I am hearing your name everywhere, even internationally and nationally. It was a big,
Yeah,
step for
it's
me, and it was a big
great.
compliment for me.
Congratulations to you.
And then he
on
called
that.
me
Yeah.
to play with him. He played my songs on his show. I had never played with a tabla player, incorporating my songs.
Huh.
So I've always played with a drummer, all my songs. But it was amazing to see how he was interpreting it, my own song. Because it's very like jazz rock, and very like paradiddle kind of stuff. It's very complicated. So Niladri was there. I was there. Zubin on keyboards. And Zakirji on tabla. So it was
Great.
amazing.
And if I may ask, how's the singing going now? Because last gig I saw of yours was in Bangalore. You sang something there, a Bruno Mars song.
Oh
I
yeah, Versace on the floor. That was just a dedication to my boyfriend. Like it was just me kind of
think. That's really sweet.
having fun. I don't know. I sing sometimes. Like I sang at the Marco Miniman show also. He wanted me to sing one of his songs called Kate.
Okay.
And holy shit, it was like so busy out here, and then I'm
Yeah.
like half time here and double
Especially
time
when you
here.
sing and play the same thing. And then
Tell
you
me
have
about
to,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Translate it to singing separately and
Very hard, very hard.
playing something else.
Hats off to people who like have no pain in doing it. I have
Richard
so much
Bona-
pain.
Richard Bona, how he does it.
Oh my god,
flawlessly.
amazing! What an amazing musician.
So, what are your influences? What is transcription to you, and how do you extract or kind of make
learn
things?
stuff.
Yeah, part of your own system basically, because everything you play sounds like yours.
Yeah. I
And-
have my own voice, which kind of feeds onto everything.
Mhm.
But also you have to keep in mind who you're playing with, because when you're playing in AR's band, I can't be too much of me also, because
Below the fifth
it's
fret.
too much. It's too jazz,
Yeah.
You have to act more like a pop bass player.
Right.
Funk pop bass
Yeah.
player, which is very fun. I love it. But sometimes when I'm improvising and all, I tend to get a little like jazzy out there. At first, when I was working with him, he told me this one thing: no jazz solos, please. Because he asked me to solo, like open solo, and I started playing some phrasing like
Yeah,
saxophone solos and stuff, and saxophone like solos. So he was like, audience wants fire. So he's just like,
Firecrackers,
yeah,
please,
firecracker, just for them,
for them.
He likes it, but like just for
So, like you just mentioned, horn-like lines
Yeah, yeah.
basically. So, did you sit consciously that okay, I want to get some horn playing into my bass playing.
Absolutely.
And
I learned.
I have a question regarding that, which is, sometimes people think that it's going to be one sitting of 8 hours
No, no,
and
no.
we'll be good tomorrow or day after tomorrow.
No,
What's
no.
your system like? Is it short spans that you spend?
Yeah, short spans.
And how short
period
or
of time.
how,
It's like 2 hours.
2 hours
I will
every
learn a
day?
solo. I
Okay.
will learn a Michael Brecker solo. I
Okay.
will learn somebody else's solo.
And do you sing it first? Do you learn the rhythm first? Or
Yeah, actually, when I'm picking it up, it's
Hmm.
much more easier for me because when I hear it and I stop it, I can actually sing it the same
Okay,
line. It's
okay.
easier for me to pick it up then.
Okay. Then you
Um,
you play, you stop, you sing it, and then what you sang, you
Now
played
I
on the
don't
bass.
sing it. Now I sing and play at the same time because,
Okay.
like I was
Its
saying, now it's
translation has
together. Now
happened.
it's together. But back then, it was first singing and then playing.
Yeah, so there was this thing I saw. In fact, somebody made me notice was that what guitar players and bass players tend to do is that their brain kind of is so smart that it'll create a 1 millisecond, 2 millisecond delay. You play the note and immediately you'll sing.
Huh.
So you will think that you're playing and singing, but the moment you start singing and then playing, like you sing first,
Yeah.
and then
It gives you that.
then it makes you actually
It's like a
do.
prototype in your head, like it's forming here, but you have to figure out a way for the sync to happen together. But obviously it's not exactly at the same time, but it's much more before. So you're already approaching for the, I don't know, I'm already, if I'm, say there are 8 bars and I'm on the first bar, I'm already approaching for the 4th bar.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
And when I'm on the 4th bar, I'm already approaching how to
But
make
then,
an outro.
of course, it's an evolving process that you got there with time, right?
Oh, yeah.
You sat
It's
and by playing so
very
many
time
songs.
consuming, absolutely. Nothing happens without time.
Now, let's say, I know your schedule is very tight. Do you get time to sit with the instrument, or do you do it in the green rooms?
Nowadays, though, very rarely, because I'm a part of so many bands. I'm
Yeah.
traveling so much. I'm going in and out in the US and India so many times. It's very, very hard. And see, like now I'm doing this, and then when
Yeah.
I go back, I have 2-3 recording sessions to do in my own studio. So
Right.
I record and send out stuff. Then a video shoot for like these albums that we play on, and few here and there little movie recordings if there are lined up. And then tomorrow there is rehearsal for something else. Then day after tomorrow show. Mostly it's just show nights every day. Whether in Bombay or Bangalore or anywhere,
So-
in India.
Also, when the kind of stuff you play, it needs some maintenance, right? Like, because it's really out there, the slapping and
yeah.
everything. So do you
It
find it
used to
sometimes?
need. It
okay,
used to
now
need.
it's kind of become. So
Now
the
I don't even
threshold-
need to warm up.
Okay, so the threshold has gone way higher now
Way
because
higher.
of playing almost every day.
Almost everything.
So the playing has become
It's
kind
like
of.
sleepless nights, like day night completely. Like I have spent 3 days, 4 days constantly without doing nothing but just music and playing the bass throughout. So this recently I did a performance with Steve Vai for the Mama Jamma Jamathon, 52 hours of non-stop jamming. Okay, so Steve was out there on stage whole night, whole day, 3 days constantly playing out there. Okay, I was in the slot. My house band had Jeremy Colson, Vernon on guitar, and Vernon Reid, and who was on keyboard? Can't remember very well, but she was on. Obviously, he was playing guitar, and we had a lot of guest artists. So that was the house band, and then we were playing. So we played for 4 hours constantly, and then another slot. I think Shad Wackerman, drummer, he was playing, and there was another bass player supposed to come, but he couldn't arrive in time, so I had
So
to
you feel-
play in that
feel
slot
that
also.
slot.
So I ended up playing for almost 6 hours constantly, and after the show I was still not tired. Yeah, like everybody was like, "Are you tired? You must be so exhausted."
I remember NH7, you were playing with I think it was Ridu's trio.
Oh yeah.
Trio or the whole band.
Yeah. His set is like
And
workout.
I remember
Yeah.
you finished the gig, then you came to the green room and you started practicing.
Yeah.
And then
Because
I'm
I
like,
was playing with Steve that day.
no, this is the one before that. This is NH7 in Shillong.
Last year, I
Yeah,
think.
not this one. The one before
okay. The
before that. So I was playing with Dhruv
Where
that
he
time.
left me with no shoes in the parking lot, and I was walking back.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think. So I remember me and another bass player. I forgot who I was standing with. He was drunk, and he's suddenly like, "Bro, I'm going." I said, "What happened?" she's practicing right now, right after she finished her gig.
Yeah.
And it was very inspiring, actually, very, very inspiring how, it's just that it's kind of become.
Sometimes maybe I do that because I'm so angry. Like if something didn't happen on
Oh,
stage,
then you're kind of figuring it
yeah, I'm
out
like, why
that
did it not happen?
let's
Why
fix
didn't it
it.
not? Yeah,
Let's
let's
fix
fix
it
it.
out.
Obviously, you can't fix it. It's already done. But I'm thinking, why didn't it happen? But then I think I remember that situation because I figured it was so cold. It was very cold
Yeah,
on
it was very
stage.
cool. Yeah.
It was freezing, and that's why my hands were not moving very
Ah.
well. And I was so angry that day that I came back. I was like, why is it not happening? It's very hard to play in cold, yeah.
Do you feel burnt out sometimes with the travels and all? Do you feel like that? Okay, I need a break. I just need to, uh,
Now
maybe
definitely.
a
Now
spa or
definitely,
whatever.
yeah.
Now you feel burnt out.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it like something with too much workload, or is it that you don't have any breaks? Or if you get a break, you can still handle, like after a break, the same amount of workload. Is it?
I don't know sometimes actually. I feel like okay, there's so much material to learn
Hmm.
for not just for one band, but so many bands. Say AR's band, then Guthrie Govan band. And then I am doing my 2-3 shows in between Guthrie Govan. So
Hmm.
my material also I have to learn. And then this other show is coming up in Dubai where Marco Miniman's playing. So I have to
Yeah.
learn one of his songs, and then so many, like it's all connected. It's like I'm also freelancing at the same time. I'm
Hmm.
not a part of only A.R. Rahman's band. I'm playing with Steva, I'm playing with Prasanna, I'm playing with like so many people.
Do you wish to keep all this in your plate for a while, or are you feeling now that I want to make some choices that these are
No,
the?
no, no. So all these bands that I play in, they're all my choices.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I get a lot more proposals than this.
Okay.
So I
But these are
choose
like,
not to do that.
of course, they're all the
Good
cream,
ones. That's
they
why,
are
yeah.
and you can't
So
even
I
say
am
no.
in a position where I'm fortunate enough to have that freedom to choose what I feel like doing or not feel like doing.
But do you also feel at some point you might have to choose some time to yourself, and if it gets
Yeah,
way too
because
much?
everybody has been asking me when is your album coming out and all that.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm.
haven't been able to do it because it's just stuck because I'm playing with so many people. I'm
I'm
traveling
also
all the
kind of,
time.
yeah. Maybe you'll have to take
It's
an
been
off.
3 years. It's been 3 years that the recording has been done and mixing, mastering is left. But I'm also waiting Steve to play on it. I'm waiting for Tony. I'm waiting for Guthrie and all these. I want these people.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
So when I'm going to US in February, so
Mhm.
Steve will play on my song that time. So I'm not hurrying also that much because these people are very important people and I don't want to miss that. I want my
Any-
album to get as much exposure
Yeah.
as it.
Any producer you've decided on for that
Um,
album, or
No, I think
Not
that
yet.
should be confidential at the
okay,
moment. Yeah.
confidential,
Yeah.
no problem.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited whenever it comes out. I
Yeah.
was just about to ask because there's
I
so
know,
much
I know.
you
In
have
fact,
to say.
Steve's bass player Philip Bino, last time when I went there, he was in another slot and he came up to me. He's like, I am talking to you like a father now. You have to release your album next year, no matter what. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying, but it's so hard. I've been no excuses. I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, then play with yourself now. Don't play with other people. Find time for yourself. Yeah. I said, yeah, but those things are important. It's a responsibility. It's like your album is also a responsibility. 2019, it is. Promise me. He made me promise.
Oh God,
So
that's
I have to do
that's
it
really
now.
good actually.
Yeah.
It's gonna work.
Yeah, I have to.
That's really exciting.
Hmm.
So there's also, the moment you find success, the moment things start rolling, a lot of critics start saying shit, right?
Okay, now
Ha-
that.
How do you feel about it? Do you take it seriously, or do you like, because it's mostly like, how do you deal with it actually?
Obviously, being famous comes with a lot of criticism.
Right.
I mostly just neglect and avoid as much
Yeah.
as possible because they don't matter to me. But when your own people do that in the industry, somebody that you know is doing
Right.
it to you, then it's a problem. Then I take it seriously.
Is it like it hurts, or you?
No,
you
it
feel
doesn't
like-
hurt.
you just
I
feel
want to
like
make
you
them
didn't
right. I
expect-
want to make them realize that this is not the way to look at things.
Ah.
Don't want to take any names, but a lot of people started messaging me after I started answering a few people on Facebook through the comments or through posts. There was this long ago. There was this tour that I did with I don't know who was it with. Some show, I think, but there was one guy who was dealing with me, and then this organizer hung me for like so many months and didn't pay me, and he stopped taking my call and all that.
Mm.
Which show was it? It went viral. Shankar Asan Loy. Everybody started sharing it.
He wrote something
Salim
about the
Suleiman.
payment.
Yeah,
thing.
about
Yeah,
I
I
don't
vaguely
remember
remember.
anymore.
Yeah. It was a
Oh,
while ago.
yeah. Yeah, so I wrote a post saying that this is not the way musicians should be treated. And then so many other stories came out, like he has done this to many other people. Some guy
Yeah.
called Rohan Gandhi or something from Hard Rock Cafe.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the guy I was dealing with. And there was a middle person also who was supposed to pay me, and he's telling me that the money hasn't come from that side. So
I remember it now.
yeah, so I just said that I've been playing for Hard Rock Cafe for so many years now. Never has this happened, and why
They were just
suddenly-
kind of sending you from one guy to the
yeah,
other.
one guy for like so many months. Yeah, like this is not fair. If you're not gonna pay, just say it off. And he stopped taking calls and everything.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
So, do you have like, have you designed that? Okay, if this person calls me, I'm not gonna ask how much, or you have some sort of a template going on that, because I'm sure people ask you how much do you quote, how much do you charge, blah blah blah. So, do you have, like, in some circumstances you have left it open because I respect this person so much, I don't need to talk about money, I just want to play because that opportunity or my love for that human being is so much? Or do you keep it in a balance that no, money is also a matter?
all my work things are fixed.
Okay.
Except 2-3 people.
Right.
Because they are somebody that I have grown up playing with from a very, very young age. But now I think now we have a fixed budget actually.
Yeah.
Now it's not like, okay, whatever you give, I'm gonna come. But I will definitely. That's not a thing. But like they know, they also respect that.
Of course,
fact,
they'll
you
be
know?
having a
Yeah,
minimum
so they're
that
good
they're
people,
calling
and
you,
I
yeah.
respect that
Yeah.
very, very much. They don't take advantage of it.
Of course, that's good. But like just giving it, sitting and giving it a thought that this is my worth, and
Yeah.
I'm
It's my
gonna
work.
be,
It's not, I don't treat it as a job,
yeah,
but it's something that I've put a lot of hard work in,
yeah.
and I think I deserve this much. So,
Of course,
you know.
that sounds really good and very helpful. I think good time to stop, and thank you so much for coming to this video podcast, and I'm looking forward to doing one more actually with you at some point.
Yeah, sure.
With your gear, actually, the next one.
Definitely, we should do that.
And let's see when that one happens. Thanks a ton. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.